Hi there, I'm Michael Bovee with Consumer Recovery Network. Thanks for tuning in to DebtBytes, our YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about a concept most people don't know about when they're behind with their bills and they look to try and resolve debts after they bounce back a little bit financially. They're surprised sometimes that their debt begins to stretch out 5 months late, 6 months late, get sent out to a debt collector, and then it alternates to another debt collector and another debt collector, and maybe it goes through 4, 5, 6 cycles of different debt collectors, and suddenly things go dark. You can't hear from anybody, not getting any letters or anything. And this is something that I call warehousing of your debt, okay? So it is more ideal to try to resolve, come up with a plan to resolve your unpaid debt and pay less, negotiate a settlement for far less than the balance that you owe when you're not quite 3 years late. And what's happening right now, and it has but we're in May 2017, and for the last couple of years after we came out of the recent recession, banks saw all-time default rates highs on their credit cards, and they reacted to that. They cleared out a lot of the mess, and some of them had bad collection practices that they were called out for, paid fines. Anyway, banks changed. Some of the largest national banks changed pretty dramatically. They'll go 2-3 years of trying to get you pay and cycle through all those debt collectors I mentioned, and then they stop. And then you're wondering, okay, well, who am I going to call to resolve the debt with? Well, you'll have to call your bank to resolve it. They've warehoused it. They haven't sent it out to any other debt collectors. It's been 3.5 years since you stopped paying. And because they've got it warehoused and you're going to have to deal with that specific department, you're now going to have to settle it 50% or 40% on an account that, had you approached it and negotiated it sooner, say at 18 months late with a debt collection agency, you might have gotten 25 cents on the dollar. So you might be paying twice as much as was necessary by waiting too long to approach this. And you're wondering, oh wow, I read online, even on our YouTube channel through the comments or on the CRN website, where people are talking about having settled a credit card with one of the national banks at 20 cents, 25, 30 cents on the dollar. How come they're not going lower for you? And it's because your debt's been warehoused and they're just not going to go underneath that floor. 4 years goes by and you've bounced back. They can see things. And by the way, you want to watch some of the videos on our YouTube channel about how banks find out information about you and develop a collectability score, if you will. Somebody who's bounced back is probably going to have to pay more in a settlement as well because they can see real-time access to your credit. But a lot of the time it's just a bias towards the fact that you're dealing with these warehouse department and they don't even seem eager to settle your debt with you. And you're going to struggle with that. So ideally, if you're watching this video about warehousing of unpaid credit card debt, it's going to motivate you, if you're not quite 3 years behind, to come up with a solution and try and target the best settlement percentages and savings so that you can bounce back and move on with some of your financial goals. So one of the ways that you can find out whether or not your debt is warehoused, I've just said, is that you haven't heard from any debt collectors or anything, phone calls or letters in the mail for some time. But primarily, if you call your creditor and you say, hey, where's my account? I'm trying to figure out a plan. I mean, I didn't want to not pay you guys back then, and it's not like I'm flush with cash now, but I am trying to develop a plan. Where's my account? What's owed on it? And they'll tell you if it's out with a debt collector and that debt collector just dropped the ball and hasn't been trying to communicate with you. But they'll also tell you if they have it internal. And sometimes they'll start that dialogue with you about resolution right then on the phone. If your goal is to have that negotiation right then, you can. And sometimes you'll see where you reconnecting about the account will kick it loose to a debt collector, but if it's warehoused, it's not going to get kicked back out. Like Chase is a really good example here in 2017 of a bank that warehouses debt after 3 years. It's not going to get kicked back out. And they may only settle with you for 50%, where you could have resolved the debt for half of that had you done it earlier. So calling and finding out the disposition of your account from your creditor is going to lead to some of those answers. See you on the next video.